We're starting a new episode of IT Matters Meetup. For some reason it is in English, I don't know why, but it's a little hobby of mine. And today we have 4 speakers as usual, and we don't need any presentation because we're gonna talk about those parrots. And by the way, I'm a project manager, and today in the morning a part of my project management responsibilities was catching a parrot in our office. So it's not so accidental we have parrots on the screen today. Well, anyway, I'd like to introduce to you Olga Kolesnikova. I call her the HR mother of the local, of the Rostov IT jobs market. And well, if somehow you don't know her, there is, well, maybe I can doubt that you are from IT at all. So everyone from IT knows her. And trust me, it's better to have her on your contact list everywhere. And I would say she's the most prominent HR person in Rostov. But she's shy and she won't agree with me. And so we've decided to tell you some stories about recruitment in IT. And well, have you got any ideas how many people you interviewed in your life?
No, I couldn't count to tell you the truth, but I can say only for the last half a year I made 25 offers.
Okay. Yeah, well, there is probably some technique to count how many interviews you had. And anyway, I will start asking my questions I've prepared. So, Olya, first of all, you do so much stuff for so many people, and later people will know that thanks to you I found my first job in IT almost 2 years ago. But can you tell us, are people always grateful, and what do you get from all those good deeds you make for other people?
Yeah, in general they're very grateful, and sometimes they come to me and say, Olya, thank you that you found me several years ago. Before this year, for example, a guy, a junior specialist, wanted to thank me for my advice and for help. And while we were chatting, his wife called him and he said, yeah, I will be soon. I'm with Olya now. And when he finished, I said, you pronounced it as if she knows who Olya is. And he looked down and said, Olya, even my mother knows who you are. And you know, it was the greatest appraisal for me.
Yeah, and by the way, can you hear her well, everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just great.
Don't you want to take a lower seat because you're kind of dominating our speakers?
Well, I know all those equal rights and opportunities, but we'll talk about it a little bit later, don't worry. So Olya, I want to ask you, many people came to this industry in some very obvious way, but what can you tell about the most unobvious ways people entered the IT industry? How was it?
Yeah, I can tell you a couple of stories about it. Again, several years ago, I was going by taxi after our New Year party at the office, and we had a chat with the taxi driver, and he said that he graduated from one of our colleges. And he was sorry that he didn't connect his life with IT, and it was still his dream. And I gave him my contacts if he needed any help. And you know, several weeks later he called me, and yeah, he managed to enter this sphere. Of course, it was thanks for his hard work and his persistence, but we still consider this meeting as a miracle, a New Year miracle. Yeah. And there is one more story about taxi. I called a taxi, and I was surprised when I saw that a taxi driver was one of the speakers from the meetups I helped to organize. And we talked a little bit, and a day later I showed his CV to our manager, and in a week we made him an offer. And later he told me that it was a rather difficult period in his life, and he had to work as a taxi driver. And it was, again, a kind of magic that his first client was I. and it was to the address where his new working period began in IT sphere.
So we could say that he wasn't a very successful taxi driver because his taxi driving career finished quite early. And Olya, you know, when you conduct a job interview, it's almost like the first date, and it looks like you're almost selling someone to your own company. But would you say that you mostly fight for the candidate's interests or for your company's interests? How does it work?
Yeah, I should too, but in general I have to sit on 2 chairs. Yeah.
That's why I put the chairs here, you know.
Because on the one hand I'm the representative of the company, on the other hand you try to do your best to please the candidate, to make everything that he felt at his ease.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, has it happened to you that you had to persuade your bosses that this particular guy or girl needs to be hired when they didn't agree with you?
Well, I have to, but I consider that they are more competent.
Yeah, and you probably have to. You probably have to rely on someone's expertise in programming and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And Olya, what is? Well, I have an answer to this question, but maybe you have your own ideas. What is so special about you as a recruiter?
Well, there is one more story about it, you know. There was an interview of a junior front-end developer, and it turned out later that he had a friend of his at our company, and when he asked how everything went on, he said that he wasn't sure. Then his friend asked him, "Did Olya behave as if you are acquainted for about 5 years?" He said yes. If so, then everything went well. And then I realized that it's something like my feature.
Yeah, you know, I had the same feeling from the very beginning since I met you for the first time, by the way. Yeah, but you know, you seem to be such a nice girl to everyone, but do those people exist who were somehow offended by you? You know, an HR person in the company is not always the most positive character. What can you say about it?
Yeah, it happens.
Shit happens.
Yeah. Well, at my first working place, there was a guy who didn't fulfill successfully his probation period, and we had to sign the documents. And it turned out so that on the second working place we were also together, and then the project was finished. He had no tasks anymore, and again we had to sign the documents. And a couple of years later he came to visit his teammates, and when we were alone he said that he was offended by me because in his opinion, it was I who fired him, and not the company, not the boss. And he asked to excuse him, and he gave me a hug. And
yeah, basically for him you were like a scapegoat. He needed something to blame. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was surprised, you know.
Yeah, and so you had a very long experience, and you are saying that it's hard to even count how many job interviews you had. And
yeah,
by the way, would you like to disclose my story? I mean, how it was? Because I can tell you, boys and girls, that I joined the IT industry a little bit less than 2 years ago. Well, I had some prior experience because in my hometown Nalchik, my friend and I, in the very beginning of the century, made some very shitty websites for local companies. So I knew something about programming, but I almost forgot everything about it. Then I was a stockbroker for more than 10 years, and then I got fed up with it completely, and I've decided to join the IT industry, and in some magical way, Olya helped me. So what was it, Olya?
Yeah, when I posted information about you, it was a perfect resume. There was information about your previous experience, perfect English, foreign education, yeah. And everyone was surprised why you decided to change your profession. But looking at your smiling face, I think you made a good decision.
Maybe I'm smiling because of the pizza, you know.
Yeah, but I think that you're pleased with your decision.
Yeah, I'm very pleased. I can tell you, in IT industry, I really have this feeling that I create something. Well, maybe it's not so tangible. I mean, you can't touch it, but anyway, it is a product of some kind. It's not just buying and selling some financial stuff you cannot definitely touch. And in IT there is no conflict of interest. You don't have to sell stuff you don't want to sell. So yeah, I'm quite satisfied.
And I can say that everyone who changed his profession is pleased.
Yeah, and by the way, we have this gentleman. What is your name? Sorry. Yeah, Roman has just approached me and said that he also recently joined or wants to join this industry, and maybe it's the right decision. Olya, I have some extra questions, but I'm sure the audience will have some questions. Guys and girls, if I were you, I would definitely ask some questions, because this is the main HR person in Rostov, I can tell you, seriously, I'm not joking. Or maybe you can socialize with her afterwards, after our event, it's up to you. So, any questions, anyone?
Thank you. Is it important to have an English skill to hire, to interview people? How it help you, and why? Why use it?
Well, part of our recruiter team is from foreign offices, that's why. But I do not use it when hire new people, because in
so
general
you don't interview people in English?
Yeah, but I think that in future there will be some positions from foreign offices, then I will have an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Any questions? Anyone? Okay, well, I have my own extra questions. Maybe you can tell us what was different 10 years ago. Maybe the candidates were smarter, or the opposite, they were more stupid 10 years ago. Maybe something has changed. Any ideas about it?
Well, they changed it someday, but they are as clever as they were. I should say that when you look at the CVs that were 3 years ago, you see the difference, the style with the stack of technologies, yeah, it differs.
Yeah. And would you say that nowadays some particular specialists are like overpriced or underpriced? I mean, maybe there are some assholes who are paid too much on the market, like Java developers, for example. I don't have anything against Java developers.
I think that I will be beaten after this question.
Okay, let's save it for the future generations. Yeah. And does such thing as a man in HR exist? I mean, I've never met a man who was a recruiter in IT.
You just do not remember. Sure, there is a bunch of them, really? Even in our local community.
You see, yeah, men have equal rights in this close community, you see. Anyone else? Any questions? Olya, thank you so much. By the way, yeah, Katya, sorry.
Hi, my name is Katya, and I'm an English teacher, but I've been working for about more than a year in an IT company, and the last few months I've been teaching IT English, let's say. But I want to get deeper into IT and probably maybe become a project manager in the future. So what would you recommend me to do, how to pass an interview? Maybe I need to do some courses, or
well, okay, I will send you a number of recommendations.
Great.
Sure, you can, especially if you have.
Yeah, just look at me. I mean, it's almost the same. Olya, thank you so much. By the way, I have to say, according to what she said, it's not just her first performance in English. It's also her first performance in general. She has never been a speaker on any meetups. Olya, thank you so much for being so brave.